This is the Investor Connect podcast program. I'm Hall T. Martin. I'm the host of this show in which we interview angel investors, venture capital, family offices, private equity, and many other investors for early stage and growth companies. I hope you enjoy this episode. Hello, this is Hall Martin with Investor Connect. Today we're here with Jachimiec, president of Downhole Water Management. Downhole Water Management has developed and patented a downhole separation system for disposing of produced water from natural gas wells and from oil wells in the same wellbore, eliminating the need of lifting the contaminated produced water to the surface and hauling it to a separate disposal well. The DGWS system has been demonstrated in numerous live wells and is ready for commercialization. Jeff, thank you for joining us.
Appreciate it.
So what was your involvement in oil and gas?
Well, right now I am heading up the company, Downhole Water Management. It's part of a private office group technology company that has been developed over a series of years. And we've got some very interesting and I think impactful technology for the oil and gas industry. We've got 3 different technologies. They're covered by 8 issued patents. And the long and short of it is we're able to separate produced water downhole and inject it into a lower zone that's been opened up to take the water. So we never bring it to the surface. It never has to be hauled away and re-injected into a commercial disposal well. And that results in a number of features. We really tick all of the boxes. We see, typically we see improved gas production because we're removing the hydrostatic head in the well. We reduce operating costs. We're eliminating the surface water handling costs. And on top of that, we're environmentally friendly because we don't move the water past the freshwater aquifer either on the way up or the way down. And we don't have any chance of over-the-road spillage. So I think it's a unique technology. There's a big place for it. And we're in the process of commercializing that now.
Great. And so what excites you right now in the oil and gas space?
Well, I think we're seeing some light at the end of the tunnel. We've gone through a low price environment for several years. We're starting to see activity perk back up. I think natural gas in particular is headed towards an upturn. That's one of the best fuel sources for reliability in the energy space and in the electrical space. And just a few weeks ago, we experienced unreliability in the electrical grid, and I think natural gas has a huge role to play in stabilizing that. So we can move towards renewables, but natural gas is a perfect buffer for that to make that transition.
Great. And what's your advice for people investing in oil and gas? What do you tell them to do before they write that first check?
Well, I think you need to look for innovators. This is a huge industry, a lot of players. It's under a lot of stress as far as pricing and efficiencies. And the innovators are the ones, I think, who have the advantage, either finding new resources more economically or producing those resources more economically. That's where my company fits in the second sector. We tried to improve the profitability of mature and maturing fields, and that has a big role to play in terms of resource conservation and extending the useful life of wells.
So how do you see the industry evolving from here?
More of the same. It's a huge industry. It's not going away. The demand for hydrocarbons, both oil and gas, is huge worldwide. Renewables have their place and they're expanding, but it's going to be a long, long time, I think, before renewables will really replace hydrocarbon energy. And then you have chemicals. Okay, you need petrochemicals. You need feedstock for petrochemicals, and we rely on that, including the renewables rely on that, or some of the equipment in the renewable industries, of course, is founded on petrochemical supplies. So I just see more of the same. And, we have to go farther afield to find hydrocarbons. We have to go to deeper water. We have to go to outlying areas. All of that takes more and better technology and better processes. So if I'm an investor in the energy industry, I look for people who have innovation on their side.
Okay. And what do you think is the biggest change we'll see in, say, the next 5 years?
Well, I don't have a crystal ball. I see more growth, frankly. I don't see huge ramp up in prices. I see steady improvement. We've been through an economic decline worldwide, and that's depressed demand. If that will turn around in the next 5 years, then we'll see increasing demand. And oil and gas is a replaceable energy source, or rather, you have to replace it, and you have to go out and find more of it and produce more of it to replace what you've used. So that's just going to put more stress on the industry and could lead to increasing prices. But I wouldn't bet on a big upswing like we've seen in some of the past years.
Well, great. Well, tell us more about your firm there and the technology you have going forward, and tell us how you run with that.
Well, we've got three technologies. The most mature and ready to be released is the downhole gas water separator. We've tested that in 48 different well bores. We've seen anywhere from 20 to 400% improvement in gas flow. The 400% is definitely an outlier. That was a very low pressure well. But what we do is we eliminate that hydrostatic head, that column of water that's 6,000, 8,000 feet tall, pressing on the formation, and that tends to open up gas production. And then we're eliminating all surface disposal of the contaminated water, the salt water that normally has to be pumped to the surface, trucked away, and re-injected in a commercial well. So we remove that cost, and what we do is our device sits at the bottom of the hole, basically in a proprietary packer, and we open up a lower zone that will take water, and we basically move all of the fluid in a gas well, all of the contaminated water through our device, through a hole in the packer, through a one-way check valve, and inject it into the lower zone. And we generate 5,000 PSI of pressure. We can move 1,000 barrels a day of fluid in a 5.5-inch casing. That's way more than most wells produce. And so we can handle just about any well that's got a vertical segment. We have to set our device in the vertical segment. The second technology is an oil water separator, downhole oil water separator. We have not tested that in a live well yet, but it uses about 95% of the gas water separator with a small change. We use a capillary system at the top of the device to use the internal pressures that we generate to lift the crude oil to the surface and inject the water downward to a lower zone. We've seen that oil and water separates very rapidly at those downhole pressures and temperatures, and so we're able to get a good oil-water cut, and we regulate the production of oil at the surface. We wind up eliminating about 99% of the salt water at the surface. So again, it's a productivity enhancement to oil wells, and it can really bring some old and maturing wells back online and back into full production. The last thing we developed to optimize the two downhole separators was a surface pumping system. We call it a surface pump and monitoring system. It's basically a hydraulic ram inside a derrick, and it lowers and raises the sucker rod and powers our device downhole. But we've made it very smart. It can sense pump off and back off of pump off. It can vary the stroke within a single stroke, and it can optimize other artificial lift applications like heavy oil. So we see that as being, in addition to helping our downhole separators, we see that as a very good artificial lift device and a smart artificial lift device for heavy oil and other applications. So all of that will be in our service company, and that's what we're attempting to lift off the ground here in the coming months.
So what are the challenges for the oil and gas operator in today's market? What do they face?
Everything comes down to efficiency. I mean, in this environment, the guy who is more cost efficient, who's better at finding oil or gas at a lower price, and who's better able to produce it at a lower cost per barrel or per MCF, that's the winner in this market.
Great. Well, you see a lot of different oil fields and types, discovery wells, production wells, and other things. What do you think is a good opportunity for investors to pursue today? What do you put at the top of the list?
Well, we've got 100% of our marbles placed on mature and maturing wells. I mean, that's where we focus. How do we increase the production, increase the efficiency of mature and maturing fields? And we're solidly in the middle of that. And I think that's a good place to be. I mean, it's very steady cash flow, long-term, low decline curve. You know what you're going to produce. And if you can optimize that with a technology like ours, then so much the better.
That's great. Well, in the last few minutes that we have here, what else should we cover that we haven't?
Well, I'd just like to say that if there are some investors out there that would be interested in talking with us, we would definitely like to have a dialogue. We are in the process of raising capital to move the service company forward. We also have a strategy to acquire some mature and maturing fields and improve them with our technology. The idea being that perhaps we can acquire something that's a solid double and turn it into a four-banger home run by reducing the operating cost and increasing the production. So we've got a couple of different methods to do that. We'd love to have a dialogue and come up with something that works for both parties.
Great. Well, how best for listeners to get back in touch with you?
Best way is probably email. That's my first initial and last name all run together. So it's CJACHIMIEC@att.net. Or call me on my cell. I'll answer it just about any time, day or night. And that's 713-628-6582.
Cool. We'll put the email and the phone number in the show notes, and want to thank you for joining us today and hope to have you back for a follow-up soon.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you so much.
Investor Connect helps investors interested in startup funding. In this podcast series, experienced investors share their experience and advice. You can learn more at investorconnect.org. Paul T. Martin is the director of Investor Connect, which is a 501c3 nonprofit dedicated to the education of investors for early-stage funding. All opinions expressed by Hall and podcast guests are solely their own opinions and do not reflect the opinion of Investor Connect. This podcast is for informational purposes only and should not be relied upon as a basis for investment decisions.